Oh,
God is good.
I'll tell you what, we got a lot of notoriety today. We've never had this many people in here for redevelopment.
Maybe we turn it over to you.
You guys can sit here and you still won't know.
Hey, I'm good on you.
oh,
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the January 11th, 2022, 4:30 p.m. meeting for the Lawrenceburg Redevelopment Commission. We'll read our important messages that impact you statement for our ADA compliance. As a recipient of federal funds and in support of Lawrenceburg's efforts to ensure non-discrimination and equal access to all citizens, the city gathers statistical data regarding participants in city activities. Therefore, we have provided a voluntary Title VI public involvement survey at this meeting. You are not required to complete this survey. However, the form is anonymous and will be used solely for the purpose of monitoring our compliance with Title VI ADA. That form is in the back of the room in that little file cabinet there. If you want to fill one of those out, feel free to do so. And there's a folder in there where you can place your responses. Ms. Brookbank, can we get a roll call?
Executive Director Brian Messmore,
Present.
President Richard Richardson,
Present.
Vice President Lenny Fryman,
Present.
Secretary Kevin Schaefer is absent for now. Member Janie Wilson. Here. Member Brian Johnson.
present.
School Board Member Brian Jansen is absent, and City Attorney Del Walden.
Thank you, Ms. Brookbank. Appreciate it. If we've had time to review the minutes of the previous meeting, I'll take a motion to approve those.
So moved.
We have a motion by Lenny. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Brian. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Do we have any announcements this evening? I see we have our annual report to the mayor.
Yes, that's correct. Ms. Brookbank prepares this on an annual basis. It is a statutory requirement, and it is essentially a month-by-month highlights of the official action we've taken, along with the corresponding resolutions and/or documentation that accompanied that decision. So it's there for your review. It's on an annual basis. It will be filed in the clerk's office, I believe, for ever.
Forever.
Forever.
Never goes away.
Thank you,
Ms. Brookbank, you have our financial report for us this evening.
Yes, as of January 5th, 2022, the balance for redevelopment is $1,660,110.53. And after monies committed to projects, it's $1,440,363.43.
Anybody have any questions in regard to that? Not, we'll move on to our new business. Move on to our new business this evening. I will throw that over to Director Messmore for our election of officers.
I'd like to nominate Richard Richardson as president.
Thank you.
So moved.
Should I chair this?
You should share this.
Okay. I need a second. We have a nomination for, we have a second. Any other nominations? Nominations are therefore closed. All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You have
Appreciate it.
achieved director status.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. And we've got,
We also, this evening, will need to elect a secretary. Pardon me?
Vice.
Oh, vice?
Yes,
Oh, who's my vice now?
it's currently Lenny.
Oh, okay.
No clue.
We take nominations for vice chairman.
Lenny Fryman for vice president.
We have a nomination for Lenny.
Second.
We also have a second. Are there any other nominations? That being said, congratulations. You have been re-elected
Appreciate
as
it.
vice chairman.
I enjoy doing what I'm doing. I appreciate it. I can help.
Who's next?
Secretary.
Who's it now?
Kevin.
My guess is he's probably going to get re-elected. Need nominations for secretary, please. It's currently Kevin Schaefer.
Kevin is secretary.
We have a motion for Kevin Schaefer as secretary. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any other nominations? Watch this.
Just-
Congratulations, Kevin. Congratulations, Kevin Schaefer as the secretary. You arrived just in time. You've
Just in time to accept.
been
the award.
reelected as secretary. Do we have any other positions? That being said, all officers have been selected, and now I can turn the microphone back over to the chairman.
All right, thank you, Mr. Messmore, appreciate it. So we have our election of officers out of the way. We'll move on to 342, 344 Short Street Demo Bid Award. This was opened up earlier in the day, and everybody's received a copy of it.
You guys got your copies?
Kevin, did Kevin get a copy?
Want a copy?
No, he did not.
Yes, we had our bid opening today for 342-44 Short Street. We had three bidders. All three bidders completed their bid specification packets in completeness. So we have McCool Enterprises at $25,200. We have Probst Excavating at $21,500. And we have Howard Excavating at $15,900.
You're recommending the lowest bid?
I'm
correct?
recommending the lowest bid.
Do we have a motion to accept the lowest bid of Howard Excavating for $15,900?
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Under old business, we have some information that's going to be shared with us this evening from Mr. Messmore in regards to the residential lots.
Yeah, just a quick update. If you recall, we are preparing the advertisement to advertise the 6 residential lots that will be available. We're wrapping up. We've got a few details to sort out. Our intention is to advertise in the local paper. In addition to that, try to find some additional distribution opportunities to try to get some additional eyes on the properties that we have. So our goal was to get that out in January. We're going to be close. Anything to add to that, Mr. Weldon?
No, Your Honor, we did get some good feedback, we've had tons of great feedback, and this has been a long time coming, so our goals are to make sure that we, maximize the parameters for the construction on these lots, which I think we've done. We've taken everyone's input over the last year or so plus, including city council's input, as far as what the parameters would be, as far as, what lots we have. And then the final, I thought was a good concept was to maximize the eyes on the project, kind of like we did with city council and parks when we were advertising the speedway, just try to get it published not just locally but regionally. We probably can't get it MLS listed, but just to get it in some publications. So we're gonna try to speak to that, because I thought that was a good idea that was brought up by one of our city councilmen. So we'll get the language files, we'll get it published, but remember that the final decision will come back before this board. So this is publishing it. Hopefully, knock on wood, we get 2 or 3 or more good proposals for each of these lots, and then those folks will come back before this board. They'll have to meet the minimum requirements, but then you're free to pick whichever project you think creates the most value for the city. So the final decision will need to come.
Yeah,
Do you have any idea about where that additional advertising would be at?
No, we don't. We talked about it today, so, short of having a realtor, which, we can't have a city realtor, but, getting it published, we're going to make sure, we're gonna look for trade publications, newspapers, those types of things, websites where people would list their property. I think that, obviously, it's common, this isn't my world, but it's commonplace for people, say you have a building over the Rhine right now, and you don't want to go through a realtor, there are places where you can list it where people would see it. And so we want to have the region kind of see these properties
Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah, no, the answer is I don't know, but we'll find out.
And
Sometimes the best things you can get.
in addition, we had discussed or talked to staff about it, about having it follow the process similar to, it's a redevelopment project. It's not an RFP or Q. It's a redevelopment project, but having a date that all applications need to be picked up. Subsequently, having a pre-meeting with all applicants to vet questions, and then have a final submission date, just to try to maximize the communication back and forth and weed out and sift out there's always some things that come up. So I'm thinking that's probably the process we'll follow. So we'll set a timeline up and have those dates where there'll be, public meetings to review those milestone points in time up to the point that we receive the final submittals.
So we're thinking, publish it, let it be published for 60 days, have that yardstick meeting, and then have an additional maybe 30 days so that they can revise, add to, and then after that 90 days total, that's when they're back in this room making their pitches, and that's when you guys are voting on which ones, if any, you can reject all of them if you like, but I think I'm optimistic. I think we're gonna get some great proposals. You're gonna pick the best one, and this is exciting. I think that, especially West High Street, those are premier, wonderful lots, wonderful places for someone to build a home and live, and be and experience, what we're all working to build down here. So we're gonna get some really cool and good quality proposals.
I think so too. People are clamoring to get into this area. It really is. Lawrenceburg's a definite hot spot. It's on everybody's mind. Does anybody have any additional questions about this?
Are we gonna set up all these lots, and we're gonna have what we're asking? That don't mean we have to take, but we don't have to go below that.
Yeah, they will be minimum bid prices. Therefore, a higher bid price is more likely received than the lower bid price, yes.
Okay.
Minimum construction standards, and then one of the important things Brian reminded me of is these are going to be for owner occupied homes, so not to like someone who wants to build a house then sell it on the market. With our comprehensive plan that we just finished, one of our focuses is to get more owner occupied homes in Lawrenceburg, so this helps with that. These will be persons who are gonna build a house and live in it, and this is gonna be in conjunction with a new home grant with Main Street, so they'll get the benefit of that grant, but we get the benefit of the fact that they have to live there for a minimum of 3 years with clawbacks, so that is an additional part of this project, that ensures it's the people that are in front of here, and the people that are living here can be part of our community.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for all that work on that. That's a lot that you've all put into this.
It takes a while.
It does, but we're getting there. We're making movement.
Yep.
We're making movement. We'll move on to our next old business matter, and that is the Union Hall.
Okay, I'm pleased to share with the community that we had two proposals on the Union Hall in an executive session when was that, last week?
Thursday.
Thursday?
Last Thursday.
And we had proposal 1 and proposal 2, and they were both very well done. And what I'm asking the board tonight is to select either proposal 1 or proposal 2 to continue negotiations with. And obviously, we cannot enter into any agreements without it being done in a public meeting, but this is in an effort to keep the confidentiality at this point that, some applicants and most applicants appreciate until there's a more finite agreement in place.
All right, so we're well versed on option 1 and option 2. We've had some time to review this, look it over. Do we have a motion this evening to move forward with an option 1 or an option 2?
I'd like to make a motion we go with option 2.
Okay, do we have a,
From all of what they presented to us, it seems like that's kind of what we're looking for down here.
I'll second.
and we have a second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So option 2 will be our further negotiation. Next order of old
Mr.
business.
Weldon, does that suffice?
Yeah, it does. So the next steps for us will be,
Thank you.
our intention, our planning goal is to have a formal agreement for the, February meeting for you to approve. Lots of work that needs to happen between now and then, that's fast, but, keep things moving, we'd like to have that be our backstop. And then in the meantime, I will be circulating, a bullet point, format of the final agreement so that everyone can see that and give individual one-on-one, input, just so we make sure we capture all of the elements. So that's what we'll do in the meantime. But what I told Brian today, one of the great things that this board has done that I think is helpful, in a good use of, discretion here and your efforts here is that, more or less, we take these proposals that people bring in and we kind of say, we're gonna have a simple agreement, and then we're attaching the proposal, this is what you promised to do. So we promise to do our side, you promise to do exactly what you stood at the podium and presented. So I think that's a great way to create a really firm and clear set of expectations at the beginning, to hold them exactly to all the elements of the proposal, job creation, investment in the property, business plan, that they presented, so that it'll essentially, to simplify things, it'll be what they presented to you will be exactly, the promise that is then transformed into a development agreement, a formal, contract.
With the clawbacks that we require.
Yes, sir.
And I also say, with that, option 1 was a very good presentation also, we was all here. And I hope that they don't get discouraged, and maybe we can find them a place down here, bring them to Lawrenceburg too. That'd be really nice.
I would echo that 100%. It was a very good presentation, and it was good. It was good. Next order of business is our A1 auto body, which of course we know there's a little history there with Brian, Director Messmore, being involved in that, but I think what he's going to ask us for tonight is to table
That
A1
is,
auto body.
that is correct. I have been in discussion with the owner's representative, and we have not heard back from the owners at this point, so there would be no need to take any action this evening.
Do you want a motion to table this?
Yes, please.
Can we get a motion to table A1 auto body?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, so we will table that for this evening. And our last order of business is our Main Street grant funding for the year.
This is always our favorite time. Yeah. Would you like to step to the podium?
Come on up, Michelle.
Okay. While she's on her way up, we have been provided a number that replenishes the grant fund to its original level. So one of the items for discussion or a vote tonight this evening, Mr. Chairman, would be to replenish those funds, and that amount needed is $200,872. And that just replenishes the funds for each of the programs based on the balance remaining in those programs from last year.
Balance remaining minus fully funding the program to 304,500 fully refunds it, so you can see how well utilized the program was this year.
Mhm.
Oh, that's great. Does anybody have any questions for Michelle?
That's pretty much, Michelle, like what we did last year. Also adding on where we come back and we added more to it. Am I correct?
We did, we added $50,000 to the residential exterior, and I think it's great to fund at the initial at 65,000, and then we can reconsider mid-year if we want to add more to that program, if it's really meeting the goals that we have or not, we can think about it at that time.
It was really good plan on that one.
hopefully we'll try to stick to what we funded it to at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
I would
Try
agree
to
with that.
try to keep that
That
level.
the money's getting used, that's what it's intended to be used for. So,
True.
I mean, I just think it's a good program.
Oh, it's a
Getting
great
A lot of good use.
Great program.
People are thankful. It does some good work.
And I did, if you don't have any, I mean, so once in a while we run into a variable in the process. We try to, stick to the rules of the game, and for the most part, that's what's happened. On occasion, we will have somebody who will ask for a grant who has already completed the work. And, it's our grant program, you fund it, and I wanted to get your thoughts on that. The grant program is, in its basic sense, if not but for sort of program that, this is designed at a, revitalization of a somewhat less than market, rate opportunities and communities and homes. So somebody will complete a job, and then somebody down the street will say, "Hey, did you get a grant for that?" And they're like, "Well, I didn't know." So I'm just asking for your thoughts or comments. I guess if we were to consider it, I would recommend, no more than a 30-day look back. But again, it is, it's very clear in the application that it can't, you have to apply before you get started.
And they still would have to, these people are, if this happens, they would still provide the same documentation?
Well, that's where it gets a little muddy, because, then
Kinda
you
lose
have to go
control of it.
backwards. Pardon me?
You kind of lose control of it.
You
if
lose
you've already
control,
done it.
yeah. But I just didn't feel like, I just wanted to share it with you guys. It's, you fund the program,
Right,
Well, if
and
the
then,
wording in the program says that it has to be done before the process starts,
We will not fund any project that has been completed, is how it's written. And specifically, it's easy. If someone has finished something 90 days ago, months ago, it's not a problem. But if someone has just finished something a week ago, 10 days ago, and they obviously have a need, and as the person who is implementing this and looking at them face to face, I always do rely on the document and say that Main Street really implemented the program according to the guidelines. This is not like my discretion. So, but when you are looking at someone who is very close and may need the money, it's a challenging no. So that's why I brought it to
is it
Brian.
your recommendation that we would allow that with a 30-day look back?
I can see that being reasonable, but again, what Brian said about, we have had, a whole block of people with new roofs, like, oh, I got a new roof, oh, did you know you can get a new roof, and it'll just go down the whole block. So, I can see it both ways. It's a philosophy call.
The want to is not as hard as, okay, now how am I going to go back and get 2 bids, because we require 2 bids. So we're really going back and,
My opinion, for the people, the money's being used right now. It's being depleted, we're having to refund it. In my opinion, those are the people that are following the rules. Why should we bend them for the people that maybe whatever, but it's not like we have leftover money that's not being used. I think that honestly.
The
I
program
think
is
we've-
well advertised too, correct?
What's that?
Well,
This program is well advertised too, correct?
Com-
yeah
completely.
and nay, because a lot of people on the hill have some roofs and stuff, and I think a couple of them come down later. They didn't know about it. I don't know how we would advertise any more than we do.
Yeah.
I don't know, but there's a lot of things that we really give down here that a lot of people don't know about.
Mm.
I hear that.
I don't
all
know. I
the
mean,
time,
I
but,
agree personally.
I don't know.
Personally, I agree with Brian. If that's the caveat and that's the rule and that's what we set forth, that we should stick to it. But to your note, if there's people that don't know about the program, how do we take this program and how do we let them know about it? What can we do to increase that coverage?
Because, social media is the easiest thing thing for us, right?
I've
So
seen
that's-
things on social media
Put it out
about
on
it.
social media, but I'm talking about an older demographic who may not so
Right.
be on, I mean, probably everyone has a Facebook page, and we'll be happy. The minute I put this residential out on Facebook, I can guarantee it'll be gone in 3 months, which is usual. But it is hard to reach a demographic maybe who doesn't have as much money, who may not have a computer and these types of things. I mean,
Would
I
it
can
be-
take out a radio ad.
Would it be possible to work with the, and this may be out of line here, I don't know if we can, but could we work with the utility department to put, they send out those they send out letters and things. Couldn't we put something about these programs in there?
That's a good
And just a
idea.
little blurb about them?
It would equal it out, but it will, when we have that kind of,
We should also be willing to triple the size of the pot if we're going to advertise it much more.
it'll go really quick.
It'll be gone in 3 weeks instead
Well,
of 3
but
months.
the thing is, with that, Kevin, I mean, when we put out there, this is what you gotta do, first come, first served, and when the money's gone, because we run into that last year.
Right.
When it's gone, then you'll have to wait till next year. But I mean.
Well, and to that point, we ran out of money without doing any additional advertisement.
Yeah, well,
I mean, sometimes you just,
But I mean, it would open it up to different people that maybe could get it in before the other people.
Yeah,
did.
everybody.
Be a little quicker
will
on it.
See it at that point without having to have a computer or be on social media or those types of
be
things.
on the same plane. I mean,
But if that's the direction we take, I definitely think that if we're gonna advertise it like that through LMU, then we should get on that as soon as possible
Okay.
to make sure that it's out.
I mean, it's not.
'Cause we're gonna replenish this tonight, and then you're gonna roll with it.
We'll roll with it.
So to look at it from a different angle, do we disappoint more people than we help by telling the 600 other people no?
I like leveling, I mean, that's why we're here tonight. I mean,
Yeah.
there's pros and cons to everything. I like leveling the playing field, making sure that everyone has an option, but there only are 13 grants and they'll go in 2 months, and maybe that's what we wanted to do. But it is nice to think that everyone who has a utility bill might have one.
we kinda had this talk last year, didn't
Oh.
we? Same scenario.
Similar. When did we expand
If the
it to the
program
Hill?
wasn't being utilized, I would
2
say.
years ago?
Okay, yeah, but the problem is, it's being utilized, we're even refunding it halfway through the year, so it's doing exactly what it was meant to do. If it gets to a point where the money's not being used, then let's look at other means of advertising it. But until then, I mean, I think every year it's grown and it's continued to grow. So, I mean, why fix something that's not broken? My opinion.
They're all valid.
We
I
only
think
have
everybody-
13.
There's only 13 on the initial funding, and again, we may want to just leave it at that.
You probably have a stack of 13 in your office, don't you?
Not right now, we're not, right now, there wasn't like a rush on grants. But if we put it in,
We put it out there, you'll
we
have.
put it out there, we will, and we're happy to do it. I mean, it is a great program, and it does provide.
Right.
Some of the folks couldn't do it any other way. I will defer to you.
Well, I don't know, I mean, it would upset me that people don't know about the program. And I get your point that it is being utilized and enough people do know about it, but what about that older individual that doesn't have access to the things everybody else has? I mean, they're kind of left out in the cold, because they don't
Well, I'll
even
tell you,
know.
there's a lot of contractors out there that's how they sell their service. They'll tell you all about the Lawrenceburg grant program. So,
It is true that there are contractors who know about it, but I can say over the past year, it's broadened the number of contractors and bids that we've seen. So as it's grown, we have seen different contractors come in. So that is true, but we have a pretty good base of different.
and I think there's
contractors.
people that are looking to do it, like the contractor will come and say, well, hey, you know, the city can help you with this if you do that, and,
Yeah.
you know, so.
Seems to me that the pleasure of the board at the moment is to leave, and correct me if I'm wrong, is to leave the wording as it is and only accept applicants,
Moving
before
forward.
the project starts.
Okay,
And we will maintain advertising as it has been.
got it.
But we do need a motion now, if everybody's okay with moving forward this way, to replenish the LRC grant funds in the amount of $200,872.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. We appreciate what you do.
Appreciate your input.
Thank you.
Everybody's had a chance to review the claims in your packets. I will take a motion to approve those now.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. And if we have any comments from our audience this evening?
I have a question.
Yeah, come on up.
So, I'm Plain Hammerlink. So I'm trying to understand, in case I have people who I know who are interested in building a home and the potential sites. So what we're saying is that there's gonna be a bid on the piece of the property, right?
Correct.
And they can have their contractor with them. They don't have to be the contractor, but they have to be the sole owner of this property for 3 years.
Correct.
So they bid on that project, they can get some help from certain other grants or no, in this process?
They would be eligible for the first-time home buyer, which is 10% of,
Okay.
and there's an application for that, and it requires an appraisal at the end of the project and awards based on, specific.
No more $100 lot, bottom line.
That's correct.
No.
At this point.
Well, we're not selling the lots and saying do with them what you please. So the concept behind this project, the original concept, frankly, since we can't do it now, is, look, we believe strongly in the philosophy that we want to kind of work ourselves out of a job, right? Our job is to generate business in the dilapidated area here in the redevelopment of Lawrenceburg. There's a point where there's no more dilapidated areas and business is coming in on its own, right? So we want to stay out of, we're going to keep government out of development, but we understand that that's not where we are. We're in a great place, much better place now than when we all started, but we have so much farther to go and so many wonderful things that we can do. So the idea behind these lots were, one, we didn't go out looking for lots. We buy lots when they come to us. People say, hey, here's a house that is in bad shape, Lawrenceburg won it. So that's maybe a misconception, but, we don't go out looking for lots. We've bought lots over the years as they come to us, if they made sense, subject to the redevelopment statutes that allow for the purchase of real property. We demoed them and prepped them for people to build houses on. And we kind of did that out of park for a while, where we said, hey, we got a lot, we're going to flip it, build whatever you want. But what we realized as you guys all started making the city better and better and better, really in a quick fashion, was that, we shouldn't just say, hey, here's a lot for $100, like you said, Scott. That's kind of one of the things that Lawrenceburg used to do, the old way of doing things. Why do that when we can say, you know what, you can have this lot for $100 or whatever, but you're going to build a $300,000 house, $250,000, a home that's going to create a place for a family to come, to owner occupied, people to live and be part of this community, start a business in this community, raise their kids, keep their kids here. So that's the concept behind what we're doing with these lots. But, it'd be great to have all the lots over on West High Street. West High is gorgeous, and it could almost be like a gated community by itself. We got a bunch of lots over there. We didn't get all of them, and again, we're not going out trying to buy property. It just happened that we have some. So we're fine with putting those lots out into the public sector, but we want to have minimum thresholds. We want to say the minimum standard, you're going to build a really nice house there. If you want our lot, if you want to have our lot, if you want a different lot, that the city doesn't have, buy whatever you want. But we're setting minimum standards that we think are in line with how wonderful the city is now and how wonderful it's gonna be. So that's the idea behind this project, just because I think people have misconceptions about these lots, and I think there's a lot of talk about these lots, but it's like all things with Lawrenceburg, well, it's usually a lot more boring than people think it is at Wendy's with Lenny in the morning or at the water cooler. You know, people want to sell us the lots, we could buy them for a minimum amount and demo them, and now we're gonna put them to great use, so, you know, it's as simple as that.
You answered my question. Thank you.
Do we have a feel for what the lots are gonna go for?
So inherent in the proposal is gonna be a minimum amount that is reflective, not of the most we could get for the lot. So one way to do it would be, Kevin, to say, well, let's just have an open bidding season on these lots. Let's try to make as much as we can, and then we don't care what they do, they can put a, you know, car washes there if they want. Well, that philosophy presumes that we're just in this to make money, right? So we just are trying, maybe the lot's worth 10,000, we get 15,000, put 15,000 back in the coffers. But is that the best that we can do with our opportunity here? Or is the best that we can do with our opportunity say, well, let's set a minimum, this is a project, so it's not just selling the lot for X number of dollars. This is saying, yeah, part of the transaction is that you get the lot, but really the value is the home that you're building. That becomes part of our community. That's an owner-occupied, nice quality home in terms of building materials, square footage, et cetera, you know, commensurate with that lot. And so, I guess just as a hypothetical, let's say we can get really aggressive, just open bidding, we get $10,000 for a lot, or we could sell the lot for $1,000 or $5,000, these are just round numbers, but get a $300,000, guaranteed a $250,000, $300,000 home. You know, redevelopment, and it's difficult from the outside looking in. In fact, sometimes it's difficult from the inside looking in to see why redevelopment is so different from the city. You know, the city council really doesn't get involved in transactions like this. You know, city council is more straightforward. You know, we're passing laws, you know, we're controlling the budget, you know, we're big picture, high level. And then when you have your redevelopment hat on, even though we have some, you know, Lenny here from city council, you're able to have more flexibility to say, well, maybe there's more value in making sure that we have a good base of owner-occupied, high-quality homes in our downtown than just buying lots and trying to sell them for profit. And frankly, you'd never do that, right? Because we had to buy the lot, we had to demo it, then we would just average, you know, sell it for the average 2 appraisals, and people could bid on it. You wouldn't make much money, if any, in that total transaction anyway. And honestly, you think about the mission of redevelopment, which is to redevelop the downtown, which is the area in need of redevelopment. If you're looking at the big picture, you just want to make this a better housing area, then that, it wouldn't make sense to buy and sell lots just for profit, right? It would make sense to buy and sell them to improve the entire community, and that's what you guys are doing.
And also, I mean, we got a certain price that we're gonna put on some of these lots. But the thing is like some people said in here last year, told us with that 10% that you get by building that, that's your down payment.
Yeah.
That helps a whole lot. That'll pay for your lot. So, if not more, so.
Yeah, but to be clear, that money is paid upon closing with proper documentation.
Well, hopefully when they start building, they're gonna be able to come in.
All right, does anybody have any additional questions? Any additional comments? If not, I will take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks for coming, guys. It's nice to see some people in here.
I didn't think you was coming tonight.
Especially over there.
Kelly said,
You're into something. What are you into?
Kelly said you wasn't coming.
There's some
Oh,
things going
yeah.
on. He's a
Changing plans?
He's a